Go.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. This is everybody's favorite tattooed ugly clown, Lenn Oddy, and you are listening to the Electric City Wrestling Fan Podcast.
All right, welcome into episode number 5 of the Electric City Wrestling Fans Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Bickey, with my co-host,
Ryan Counted.
And this episode, really looking forward to, we have professional wrestler Lenn Oddy on for an interview. If you guys don't know who he is or you're not a fan of his yet, after this one, trust me, you will be. Let's get right into it. All right, welcome back to the podcast. I'm sitting here, well, not sitting here, but we have on the phone Lenn Oddy, professional wrestler.
I'm sitting here.
Well, yes. So, right now you live in New York. Is that where you're originally from?
Yeah, I'm from Schenectady, New York. Currently live in Albany, New York, which is about a half hour, 45-minute difference upstate is where I'm from.
Okay. You want to talk a little bit about growing up there? I mean, wrestling-wise, was wrestling always around you, or you just became a fan from school? What happened?
Well, we're going to go, start from the very beginning.
Yes.
I actually grew up with wrestling in my house. My grandmother, who lived in my house and actually helped raise me, was a huge wrestling fan. I mean, besides just watching it Monday night, she watched it Saturdays. I think there was something else playing on Sundays at the time. We used to go to all the indie shows in the local area and everything. And a few times, ECW actually came down to the Schenectady arena. And she always took me to those. She even got kicked out of a couple shows and stuff. But wrestling has always been a part of my life, Maybe with my parents, not so much, but my grandmother was a huge influence. So she actually was the one who got me into it. In fact, her big thing she got me into was ECW, because she just liked how it was so different from everything else. That's why if you ever notice any of the rare pictures of me without an elbow pad on my left arm, you see a giant ECW tattoo. Actually, I got that for her the day of her funeral.
Oh, wow. She's no longer with us?
She's gone. She was an amazing woman. She used to say she didn't suffer from her senility. She enjoyed it.
Okay. I want to talk a little bit about, what was high school? I mean, were you the biggest wrestling fans? You have a bunch of other fans, wrestling fans, friends, or?
Dude, I was a loner, and not by choice. I did not have a lot of friends growing up. I pretty much kind of kept to myself against my will. And my parents wanted me to have nothing to do with wrestling. So the day I turned 18, actually, I signed up for wrestling school. I've been wrestling since I was 18. And 32 now, so we're going on 15 years in February.
Now, are the parents cool with it now, that you're doing it professionally, or?
They help here and there. They help out with my kids and stuff, because my wife works as well. And I have a day job during the week, so
okay.
They try and be as understanding as possible, and they work with me. But it's not like I sit there and go over for Sunday dinner and sit there and talk about my career with them. They'd rather talk about the weather than what's going on in my business.
Have they been into any of your shows?
My parents have not been to a show since my grandmother was alive.
Was Grandma always there, front row?
Grandma was there for 3 shows before she passed. And not only was she front row, but the first show I ever had, I got jumped by 2 other guys towards the end of the match.
Legit?
Security. No, it was a work.
Oh, okay.
But my grandmother didn't know about it, and she actually tried to bum rush the ring. She was 4.5 foot tall with a walker and a metal cane hanging off the side, and she was trying to swing at security to get at me to help me.
So Grandma was a badass.
Yes, and from my understanding, a bit of a rat. From a story that Sandman told me, one of the shows she went to that I didn't go to, apparently she got kicked out of it because she hit one of the wrestlers with a metal cane. Credible actually said he remembered this story. She actually hit a wrestler, I think it was Lenn or somebody, with the metal cane. And she got kicked out, and she waited in the parking lot area to follow the wrestlers to whatever bar they were going to. And apparently she went to the bar and started feeding Sandman shots of tequila and all kinds of shit all night, like just to get in his pants. So yeah, not only was she a badass, but she was a hooah.
That's amazing. I wish.
And the best part is, I didn't know about this story until Sandman told me about it friggin' 8 years ago when I met him in San Fran.
Oh man, that is awesome. I don't even know where to go from that. Talk about your nickname is Tattooed Ugly. Where does that come from?
Tattooed Ugly actually comes from two places. It's a pun, and it's I used to be in a band before I started. When I first started wrestling and everything, I started getting tattoos. I actually have, it's a pun in the sense that I actually have the word ugly tattooed on my right knuckles.
Okay.
So, I'm tattooed ugly. Haha. But and yes, Tattooed Ugly was the name of a band. I was a singer for a very short time until my lead guitarist died.
Oh,
a really
man.
good friend of mine.
Jeez, I don't want to make this like the downer podcast, but...
No. Every story has its goods and its bads.
I mean, so like, he passed away and that was the end of the band, or?
Oh, yeah. My buddy Andy, he was starting to become a wrestler as well, and he was just how can I put this? You know the band Iron Maiden?
Yes, of course.
Not only could he play all the songs and everything, and all the jazz, he could actually outdo all the guitar solos.
Oh shit.
So yeah, once he was gone, the band was gone too. He helped me form it. It was, it was a mutual project. Couldn't go any further without him.
Now, you said he was becoming a wrestler too. Did you guys like go to wrestling school together, or?
Oh yeah, we basically lived at a wrestling school for a year.
Do you want to throw the name out there, the wrestling school?
They're not around anymore. But the head trainers from that school and all the guys involved are actually at In Your Face Wrestling.
Oh, okay.
Out here in Albany, New York. We actually just had a show yesterday, or this past Saturday, all depending on when this is released.
It'll be released later tonight, so yeah, it was last night.
Yay! That's right, folks. Sorry, the clown spoiled it. This isn't completely live. We're off by an hour or so.
Yeah. So, I mean, okay, so if anybody doesn't know, I mean, I put the picture up, but your face painted, and where does that come from? Is that just the love of something, or like what's the inspiration for the face paint?
The face paint started the second I changed my gimmick. My first year in the business, I started out as a biker. I looked like Chris Jericho with long blonde hair, and I kind of dressed like The Undertaker at the time, who was, doing his biker shtick. And when I changed out of that, I started doing face paint right away, and it was just, twisty smiles, kind of letting the eccentric, laughy personality out. Because I'm a very fun-loving guy. I like telling jokes and stuff. I like trying to keep, the humor going when I'm talking with people and everything. So, I kind of brought that into the new gimmick, being a psychopath. And, from there, the face paints, kind of evolved a little bit with adding white in and whatnot. And now, the past 5 years or so, actually, if you notice, I have a bunch of different kinds of face paints coming out constantly. It's because I'm normally letting the fans pick what face paint I'm going to wear.
Okay.
My character's actually based off of comic book characters and some eccentric characters that had, not just face paint themselves, but they had very eccentric looks. So I bring, my own little death mask, so to speak, to every show.
I was gonna throw out something like maybe the Joker or like ICP, maybe anything like that.
You are correct with the Joker. You might need a censor button for this, but fuck you for ICP. I have nothing to do with ICP. I have nothing against them. I would love to work for them at some point. I like some of their music. I'm a much bigger Zug Island fan who used to be on the label. But I am not a juggalo, and my face paint has no inspiration and no resemblance to any member of Insane Clown Posse or affiliates.
Okay.
My face paints are actually based off of the Joker, Beetlejuice from the movies, and The Mask from the Dark Horse comic books.
Okay.
Not the cheesy Jim Carrey movie that cut off his balls.
Right. Now, okay, so how many tattoos do you actually have right now?
I lost count after 40.
After 40. I mean, pretty much your
After 40.
whole body, correct?
Not yet, but it's all going to end up being one tattoo in the end.
Okay. Now,
But
I mean,
if by pieces,
right,
you know.
if nobody has seen you before, I mean, if you weren't a pro wrestler, what else could you be doing?
I actually do stand-up comedy and sideshow acts. It's kind of a prop comedy mixed with your old school Harry Houdini style testing the limits of the human body. I lay on a bed of broken glass and let somebody come up on stage and stand and jump up on me as long as they're not too fat. I actually I mix a little bit of wrestling into my sideshow act. I let people come up on stage and hit me in the head with cookie sheets just so they can get a feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
I also let people staple gun money to me. I even have a roulette wheel of chance to where you spin it. People say, roulette wheel of pain. Well, not everything hurts me. Some things hurt me, and, other things, they don't feel it. Whatever. No big deal.
Would you call yourself a glutton for punishment?
I don't know about that. I can just take it.
Okay. No, I mean, it just sounds like you enjoy it, so that's why I was asking.
I'm one of those guys where if you pick a fight with me, in real life, if you pick a fight with me, I'll wait for you to hit me. If you piss me off enough to where I start egging you on, it's because I want you to hit me. Once you do, I'm going to take a step and tell you to do it again. Because after that second time, you better hope you put me down.
Okay, that leads me into my next question was, how different is Lenn Oddy from Lenn Oddy?
The difference between Oddy and Oddity is just the volume cranked up a little bit. I'm actually a very mellow guy. I work a lot. I have a family. I have 2 kids, wife. We have a house. We're actually in the process of looking to move to Florida at the beginning of next year.
Is that work-wise or just because?
Wrestling-wise, actually.
Okay. Makes sense.
Branch out in new areas, and we're thinking about going for a few other higher-up stuff. But, we're not going to get into that. Last thing I want to do is put that out in the universe for it to get spoiled. But, yeah, in real life, I'm really mellow. My sense of humor is pretty much the same. The only difference is when the second the face paint goes on or the music hits or I hear a crowd, I am loud as hell. You could be in the back row. I could not have a microphone, and you will still hear me talking and pointing at you.
Okay.
It won't matter.
Now, I want to bring it back a little bit to the comedy. I mean, where does that come from? Because I know, a lot of wrestlers are kind of branching out and doing comedy now, like Ziggler, for instance. Mick Foley does a tour. Is anything...
For me, actually, again, it comes back to wrestling. I started out as a very serious wrestler, focusing very seriously on my music, focusing on my wrestling, my in-ring ability, trying to do everything I can, to be a good wrestler. And after a while, I started to realize, with some of my training, I actually trained with Just Incredible and Jason Knight for a few years. And I even made friends with Stevie Richards. And this is going back 8 years. And they actually were sitting there and telling me, I should play off my gimmick more. And that's what I started to do. I started to let my personality out a little bit more and playing off the gimmick, and that brought me into the comedy wrestling. The more I would actually talk to the crowd and make a joke, I started out being that guy who would take, as I'm taking a body slam, yell, "Oh crap!" take the bump. Oh God, the pain, the agony. Everybody would start laughing. Like, oh, okay, this works. Next time I take a move, instead of just selling it, I actually look at the person in front row, and I'll be like, oh, that sucked. I actually hold the conversation with the crowd and start making the jokes with them, and then from there it actually went to, okay, well, why don't we do this on stage? I've always wanted to try sideshow stuff. Let's do that. And here we are.
Okay. And how long have you been wrestling now?
February will be 15 years.
Wow. I mean, do you see any end in sight, or as long as your body holds up, you're going to keep going, or what?
That's pretty much it. I'm going until I'm dead.
Okay. Hopefully.
If I can't walk, I will figure something else out to do in this business.
So, you talked about your grandma a little bit for the love of wrestling. I mean, like growing up, was there any like your favorite guys growing up that you kind of like, hey, like I want to be like that, or?
Of course, I was a Stone Cold fan. He was one of the guys that introduced brawling into wrestling, which I do more now than actual wrestling itself. Actual like flippy, flashy moves. I mean, but of course, I loved guys who could actually, chain wrestle and had a bit of a character and had a different style, like Yoshihiro Tajiri. I'm a huge fan of his. I even still model some of my wrestling after him today because I have an extensive martial arts background, and he's one of those guys that put that in there with his wrestling. Of course, just incredible. Well, I actually was a huge fan of his growing up, and actually got a chance to train with him and everything. It was, I'm really lucky in my career with a lot of these guys who, I actually idolized because I saw their talent, and they ended up befriending me or taking me under their wing.
Okay. Now I would kind of describe your style from what I was watching, like a hardcore style almost. Like, have you done like death matches, stuff like that?
I've done a few death matches. I didn't do hardcore wrestling at all until I want to say my 6th year into the business. I did no hardcore. I wanted to, but I never did. And then all of a sudden, everywhere I go, it's some kind of hardcore because I guess I'm really good at it.
I was gonna say, yeah, some guys like kind of take that as like a negative, like you kind of get stuck with that. That's what you're known for, and then you have to do it.
To an extent, I actually used to complain about it, saying I was pigeonholed into being a hardcore wrestler because I do feel like it hurts my bookings a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I'll end up getting injured in a real wrestling match where I can come out of a hardcore match feeling like $1 million. So I actually had an injury 3 years ago. I was out of wrestling for a year because I almost had to have my foot amputated from a wrestling match.
You broke your foot, correct?
I crushed it, actually. Plancher from the top rope to the outside. The guy was 2 steps too far away, and I didn't reposition myself on the rope. So when I jumped and we connected, my foot, the balls of my foot, I landed on hardwood floor. And 8 fractures, 3 breaks, all of my left foot. Wow. 4 months, I was 95th percentile range of amputation.
Wow. What's that? That's got to be scary. I mean, what is that like, that feeling going through your head?
That wasn't just... I'm not the type of person where I'm like, oh, God, amputation. How shall I survive? No, I'm sitting there going, if they have to cut off my foot, just give it back to me so I can use the bones for jewelry or something.
Were you...
and hell, Kerry Von Erich wrestled, for the longest time from a motorcycle accident. Yet he was missing a foot. If Kerry Von Erich could do it, I sure as damn can.
That was your thinking the whole time, like, I'm hurt, but I'm whatever I can do to get back.
Yeah, I got a little bitter towards the business while I was out because a lot of people stopped speaking to me. I'm not going to say I'm popular, but in this area, for a good 5-6 years, I was every weekend nonstop. New York City, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Pennsylvania, and reversed, all the way around. And then once I got injured, nobody wanted to do anything with me. In fact, the only place that did do anything with me was in your face wrestling, which is why you actually finally see pictures of me without face paint, because I got a little too sober while I was injured, and yeah, I had some points to prove.
Yeah, but I was just gonna say that, like, when you were hurt, like, that's kind of when, like, they discover, like, your mic skills almost, as like, hey, this guy could talk now.
Oh, I could always talk. They just finally gave me the mic.
Right.
Before, I didn't care about not having a mic. I just yell in the ring or cut my YouTube videos.
Right.
Yeah, once I got injured, they actually let me have at it, and not too many people are happy about it.
You kind of let loose a little bit.
Every once in a while, people need a slap in the face of reality.
Okay, I have a couple of names up here I wanted to talk about that you worked with or even wrestled against. I'm going to just name them off, and you could just go on and you have stories or whatever you want to say about them. I have Smiley.
I like Smiley. He's a good kid. Still fairly green, but I actually just had a match with him last month. I'll work him again.
Okay. You talked about Justin Credible a little bit, trained with them, and you had a chance to wrestle him?
I had a chance to wrestle Credible a few times, actually, and it was amazing experience, just, being in the ring with somebody who's been everywhere on television. And on top of that, before I wrestled him, he was my friend. It was kind of like one of those dream come trues. Even though it was in a crowd of 300 instead of 3,000, didn't matter. It was a dream come true for me.
No, I don't know if you remember this, but the match I was watching earlier with you and Justin Credible, you reached in and you grabbed a football helmet or a baseball helmet, and you headbutted him in the nuts, kind of, off the ropes. Do you remember that?
Yes, I know what you're talking about. You're talking about EWR, a short-lived federation out in Massachusetts. Yeah, we had a hardcore match in a school.
Do you, where does that idea even come from? Something like a football helmet?
Actually, that match I had brought out my BBOFU, which is anagram that stands for the Big Bag of Fuck 'em Up. If you've ever watched the cartoon Animaniacs,
yeah.
Wacko used to have this giant sack, and it was just random crap filled in there and randomly.
Just incredible. And the spot with the helmet, the football helmet.
We're talking about the Big Bag of Fuck 'em Up. Now, the Big Bag of Fuck 'em Up is a very simple concept. It's a giant sack filled with random shit. Honestly, 90% of the time, I do not know what's in there. So when you see me pulling something out of the big bag in a match, it's literally, I'm just as shocked as the crowd.
Wait a minute, who fills it up then? If you don't know, who fills it up?
I have no idea. I make a show, it's empty. I go to a show, it's full. So, okay, great.
You just grab it let's go.
I'm like Santa Claus with tattoos and face paint.
Okay.
Just spreading joy to all the fans.
Joy, pinatas, thumbtacks, a double-headed 18-inch dong, a jar of chunky peanut butter, God knows, rubber chickens.
Oh my.
Yes, on multiple occasions, apparently, I have pulled out an 18-inch black double-headed rubber dong and a jar of chunky peanut butter, and proceeded to use it to lube and beat my opponent with in the middle of the match.
And these are things you didn't know that were in there. You just grabbed them and oh, well, let's go.
Yeah. At some point, no. When did my wife put this in here? That's back to the match.
Oh, man, that's awesome. Okay, so talk a little bit about, you had the opportunity to wrestle Balls Mahoney also on a lot of different occasions, probably 8, 9, 10 times you said?
I honestly, I don't remember. I know I wrestled Balls in a college 2 or 3 times. I wrestled Balls in a Jersey Deathmatch tournament a couple of years ago. That was the last time I wrestled him. Balls is a great guy. I met him about 8 years ago, and he befriended me right away. My greatest thing is first time I met him, he's sitting there passing me I walk over to where he is and shake his hand, introduce myself, and he hands me one of those jumbo soda cups. And take a sip. And I take a sip, and it's pure alcohol. Like, oh, thanks, boss. Nice to meet you too. And then 5 minutes later, he goes, "You prepared for tonight?" And I knew where this was going. I'm like, yeah. Reach into my jacket, pull out my flask really quick. Decent sized flask. He goes, "Oh, no, you're not prepared for tonight." Goes on over to his bag, pulls out an unopened liter bottle of Bacardi raspberry vodka and hands it to me. And I go, "You want me to take a swig?" He goes, "No, that's yours." Excuse me? Do I need to give you a happy ending for this? Is there something that I missed? And yeah, from there we just became friends. And yeah, wrestling balls every time was amazing. He took care of me. I've heard stories about people, crying about how he would give chair shots. And I don't like saying this often, but for new people, people like to describe me as a bit of a badass in the sense that I don't put my hand up for chair shots.
Yeah, you take that fuck right to the head.
Yeah, there's actually a few pictures of me taking a chair shot straight from balls, like just right to the dome. I learned from a blockhead the hardest part on your head. So, sideshow act. So from there, I incorporated sideshow into my wrestling when it came to hardcore. And yeah, balls never killed me with the chair. At least he hit me in the right spot.
I mean, would he hold up a little bit, or he would like whack you?
I have no idea. It always looked like he was swinging for the fences when it was coming at my face. So I just have a feeling some people can't handle chair shots to the head the same way I can.
You're not worried about you're not worried about concussions and whatnot?
What? Who are you? What am I speaking to? What's going on?
Okay.
I don't want to go to school with Mommy. I want to stay home and make cookies with you. No, I'm not worried about concussions. If I become a vegetable, well, then I guess that just goes under the category I'm not wrestling anymore.
Okay. Talk a little bit about, Balls as a person. You said, he's a good guy and everything. I mean, do you have any crazy, road stories or traveling with him or anything like that?
Oh, my God. I have this habit of always being the first guy to a show. Apparently, Balls has the same habit. If he's not the first, he's definitely in the top 5. And we're doing this one show, and I think it was Ronkonkoma, New York, Long Island. And he was getting bored. The ring was late. We're just sitting around, and he's like, "You know what? I gotta go to the bookstore. I gotta get this book for my kid, and and it's a series, and I like reading it too. So we're going to a bookstore." Apparently, the bookstore was in Jersey, an hour and a half away from the venue. We made it there in 15 minutes because Balls did 110 the whole way. With no seatbelt on.
Oh, man.
One of his famous sippy cups. And of course, talking to me the whole time about his brownie recipe, whether I had made it or not. Because prior to that, on multiple occasions, me and Balls would stay on the phone for about 4 hours talking about our own personal brownie recipes, how to make them from scratch. And he would sit there and tell me, I just made this new batch of brownies. I tried this pineapple juice in with the mix, and my wife currently is sitting on the bed making love to the pan, ignoring me. Fuck my life. I'm sorry, Balls. At least I'm here to talk to you.
That's awesome. Unfortunately, Balls passed away just recently, so, when was the last time you talked to him?
I actually haven't spoke to Balls in about a year, maybe a little bit longer. I spoke to him a little bit when I first got injured, and a little bit right before I came back, and that was it. It was just one of those things where, guys in the business who have families and everything, you lose contact over time. But with me and Balls, we were always those guys where it was, we never missed a beat.
Right. Okay, I want to talk a little bit about guest I had on yesterday, Sean Patrick Mullen, who is your booking agent.
Yes, he is my new booking agent. He's out there trying to help spread the disease called Odd.
Okay.
I like to call myself a disease because I have obsessive destructive disorder.
Say that. Wait, say that
You get
again.
it?
What is it?
I have obsessive destructive disorder.
Okay.
You get it? It's spelled
ODD.
odd.
I got you. Yeah.
I told you I'm a punny guy. I could do this all day. But yeah, no, Sean seems like a great guy, and we're gonna do business together. We're gonna see how far we can take this.
Okay. I mean, I know he's down.
You know,
He's down in
every-
Florida. Was that?
Hmm?
He's down in Florida too. Is that any contact with you're trying to move down to Florida or?
Actually, no. That was kind of a spark of the universe going, okay, you're going in the right direction. Because I've actually been in the talks with my wife about going to Florida for the past couple months.
Okay.
And now, I've been talking to Sean A. Maybe, I don't know, 3 weeks now, 3 weeks. I don't know. I get hit in the head a lot. I'm bad with time and direction and my name.
Okay. Let's talk about Mrs. Oddity, if you will.
Yes, my sexy wife. Sit on her two tits for too long, and I'll kick you in your balls. You look like you have 3 Adam's apples.
I mean,
Yeah, you got nothing now. You're like, oh shit, what can I not
no,
say?
I don't want to. I don't want to go there.
You die.
I mean, what's it like working with your wife and then being around her constantly like that? Is that a difficulty or?
Me and my wife, both in and out of wrestling, have a very not atypical relationship. We're not the typical married couple that bickers or anything like that, or probably bones once every other month. Me and my wife talk about everything. She's my best friend. In fact, a lot of what I do nowadays would not be done if it wasn't for her seeing some of my ideas in notebooks and going, "Why aren't you doing that for Lenn Oddy?" And she pushed me a little bit, hey, that's a good idea. You should run with that. And yeah, even on top of that, me and my wife never have enough time together ever. We could spend an entire month attached to each other's hip, and it still wouldn't be enough time. So for her, and she didn't get a chance to grow up around wrestling because she came from a very strict background. And she was a little bit of a wrestling fan, and she had the openness to start coming out to the shows and everything. And the fact that she actually wanted to be a part of it made it even better. And for me, it was I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I hate the fact that my injury actually soured her to the business to the point where she wants nothing to do with it.
Really? Now,
Yeah,
she's still your manager, or?
She used to be. She was a manager for a while, and then after I got injured, and she kind of saw how the business really was, so to speak.
As far as people not calling and whatnot.
It's not even not calling; it's the level of indifference, and she never really realized how pieces of meat wrestlers get treated as. I'm one of the few people that are extremely vocal about it. Wrestlers aren't treated like meat.
Mm-hmm.
She didn't really realize, how it was to sometimes have to fight for paydays, or the crappiness of locker room politics. Because no matter where you go, they're there. You might not play those games, but like me, I'm not involved in locker room politics. I'm not involved in a whole bunch of crap, but it's there, and you can't get away from it. And after she saw that, she was like, yeah, I'm getting out of this. And then she would even go as far as say, I don't need her out there. She feels like she takes away from everything I'm doing on stage. So I just feel like that was a cop-out, but hey, that's
Now I saw the video where you actually proposed to her at a wrestling event.
Yes, right after a home run derby match, which was basically a baseball bat wrapped in some kind of weapon in each corner.
And she was just a fan at that point, right? She wasn't your manager.
She was not my manager. She was actually pregnant with our son, Brutus, and she ended up just, she would work the merch table when she would come to shows at that point, and she would, film the matches for me. And then, the one time, if you actually see it from her filming, you can actually see her filming it, and then you can hear somebody in the background say, come with me, right before the video cuts out. It's because I let another manager know that I was going to propose and to get her close to the ring as I was doing
Was
it.
there any nervousness? I mean, going to that, like in front of a couple people, or like you were just like headstrong, like I'm doing it no matter what?
Another day on the job, and I'm just going to propose to my wife. She had no idea what was going to happen, or my girlfriend at the time. But yeah, she had no idea what was going to happen. And it wasn't as much nervousness for me as it was, knowing I was going to make her really, really happy.
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, congratulations on that. Everything worked out.
Thank you.
Everything going good, marriage-wise.
Oh, yes. My wife puts up with my crap daily. It's okay. I put her in the butt when she gets too angry and she forgets about everything.
Oh, boy. Ultimate goal. I mean, has there been any talks from any bigger companies, or you're content with the indies? And
No, I'm always looking to go bigger. I mean, yeah, I'm not your typical cookie cutter, jacked up, pretty boy wrestler. I bring something that's been lost in the world of professional wrestling, and that's its balls. So somebody has to kind of, make the wrestling world grow a pair and, make it different. And as you said, just recently, people are starting to do the comedy stuff. That they're slowly trying to bring back the Attitude Era, or tease it on television and stuff. Where in reality, I'm sitting here going, motherfuckers, I've been doing this for at least a decade trying to bring this shit back, and now you guys are just catching up to me?
right. Okay. Winding down here a little bit. I mean, is there any current promotions you're working for, or you want to shout out at all, or?
I'm working for a predatory promotion out in Long Beach next month. I don't remember the date offhand because, I get hit in the head a lot. I'm always working for In Your Face Wrestling. They have, I think their next show coming up is in June. I think it's June 11th. I'm also wrestling for Dissension Pro Wrestling, who I think has a show coming up in July. Another federation that have a show coming up in July is Revival Pro Wrestling. Most of these are based out in Connecticut, Massachusetts, and some here in New York.
Okay. I would love to come to a show in New York whenever you're up there. You're there.
Well, I'm always here. Come on down. We'll have fun. We'll make it a party. It'll be a blast. Come on. How many people can you say have hung with a split-tongued professional wrestling clown? Not many.
All right, buddy. Anything else you want to throw out there? Any crazy stories or anything?
I'm always up for stories, I'm happy you guys just decided to have me, I'm very appreciative. I always hope to be back, and of course, just for the cheap plugs for all my updates, whether it be events, face paint wearers, that's right, because you all get to pick my face paint every show, or any other bullshit videos, gaga that I put out there, you can always go to lennoddity.com. LENNODDITY.com. And that's enough of my cheap plugs.
All right, buddy. All right, guys. That was our conversation with professional wrestler Lenn Oddy. Really fun one. Really great one. I really enjoyed that. He had some great stories, great jokes. To get out of here on our plugs, check out Facebook page, Electric City Wrestling Fans, the group page, Facebook page, Twitter, all that good stuff. iTunes, make sure you subscribe, like, rate, review, download, pass the word along, spread the word, all that stuff. Help us out. And we'll see you on the next one. Thanks.